Well, switch from managing your business to managing its mission. Hi guys, I'm Michael from the One-on-One Connection, Australia's premier online radio station for business shows, lifestyle shows and great music. And yeah, this is an interesting one because I quite often get asked by business owners some management questions and I'm kind of going, really? I rather you switch. If you really want to grow and you really want to accelerate your business growth, you've got to put 80% of your thoughts into managing its mission and not actually managing the business. So manage the mission statement. So what do I mean by that? It means having that constant look at the purpose of your business because it can change. Don't get stuck in a rut. I do this and I'm going to do this forever. Don't do that. Your purpose is what's in it for your clients, and it depends as your skill set's growing, depends on the climate and what happens in the economy and what goes on. So you're really constantly looking at your purpose and making sure it's optimized for what your clients need right now, want and need right now. And then you're looking at the behavioral traits. People call them values, they want to give themselves a cuddle, make themselves feel good, but really the behavioral traits, how are we treating our customers? I always say, you always hear me say, when a customer's right doesn't match my, customers are always right. That's the first thing. But this is the bit of it. If the customer's right doesn't match my right, they're not my customer. There's no personality involved in that. That's just a hardcore fact. If I'm looking at how we treat each other, and I say we're all ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, I really mean that. People who work in my businesses, I work for them as much as they work for me. I often tell the story of when I got my first general manager's job, and it's like, woohoo, here comes the ego. Look at my business card. It's got general manager on it. And then you realize general manager really just code for dog's body. It really is. You're running around looking after everybody else, but it's a great experience, because you've got to look after the ops department, you've got to look after your drafting department, you've got to look after the accounts, you've got to look after the sales team, you've got to look after, the stores and all the logistics team. It's always different. People have different needs and different wants so that they can run efficiently, and you're the general manager, you're the dog's body in the middle, making sure that they get all that so that the company continues to grow. So that's what I mean. So ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, we're all adults. Don't bring your problems here. We're all adults. I'll treat you adult to adult, and you treat me adult to adult, and I'll treat you respectfully and you treat me. No one's above anybody in a business. They just provide different roles. But there's another thing that you've got to keep analyzing. When you're acting like a CEO, you're constantly analyzing what's my distinctive capability that has a special value in the marketplace. Now that can change, because I'm telling you now, it could be that distinctive capability could be well sought after today, but a couple of years comes along and kind of quite a lot of people are doing it. You're not standoutish anymore. So if you rest on your laurels, that can dissipate and you can actually lose your market edge. So you're constantly going, what does our business really want to look like? We're starting with the end in mind, as you often hear me say. So the end in mind can change as well. It can shift. Don't lock yourselves in. This isn't a marriage. This isn't, oh, I love this and I'm never going to do anything else in my entire life. Okay. This is a business, not a partner that you're getting into. So you're constantly looking at your purpose and you're constantly analyzing my distinctive capability. Does it still have that special value in the marketplace? And if it doesn't, what do I need to replace it with? Which is why we're always talking about innovation, why we're always talking about being refreshed. That's why being a CEO and managing the mission in itself is a full-time job. In itself is a high responsibility. 80% managing the mission, 20% managing the business. If you say, well, who's going to do all the work? That's where you have to grow and get employees, get joint ventures, get contractors to start off with. There's tons of people. Go networking. There's tons of people out there that can fill roles without becoming an employee first off. Make sure that they're doing so much work that it's actually more financially viable to actually have an employee. And I tell you what, in networking, you often hear me say, that's probably where you're going to find your employee rather than in a job interview. Yes, you need HR departments because they'll fill in, and HR people because they'll fill in all the technical stuff that you actually need to do by law. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about the right person for the right fit for you. That's probably more important for you. So you're both on the same page. Hope that helps, guys. 80% manage the mission, 20% manage the business. Use outside people to help you grow until it becomes financially viable to start employing staff yourself. And then you'll always have a mixture. It'll always be a mixture. Hope that helps. Hey, and if you like these type of conversations, because that's really what they are, I'd love to hear your opinions down below in the comments. Why don't you join us on our radio station, the 101 Connections, an app above. And if you want to chat to me about your business and have a bit of a brainstorm session, jump on the 101connection.com.au website. There's a mentoring button there with a one-on-one with myself. Send me a line, let's tee up a meeting, let's have a chat. I'd love to do that. In the meantime, join us on the 101 Connection, connecting you to success.